The journey from your lungs to your brain is supposed to be one of oxygen delivery and survival. But in the age of air pollution, that same pathway has turned into a covert delivery route for neurotoxins, microscopic saboteurs that infiltrate the body through breath, hitch a ride in the bloodstream, and quietly wage war on your neurons. The terrifying part? You don't see them. You don't feel them. But with every breath of polluted air, they get closer to your brain. It starts in the nose and mouth, where you inhale air laced with fine particulate matter, PM 2.5, and even smaller ultrafine particles, nitrogen dioxide, ozone, heavy metals, volatile organic compounds, and other industrial detritus. The finer the particle, the deeper it goes. While larger pollutants might get caught in your nasal passages or upper airway, PM 2.5 particles are so small, about 30 times thinner than a human hair, that they easily bypass the body's first line of defense. They float straight down the trachea, into the bronchi, and lodge themselves in the delicate alveoli of the lungs, the tiny air sacs where gas exchange occurs. And here's where the real horror show begins. These microscopic invaders don't just sit in the lungs. Many of them are soluble or attached to other chemicals that are. That means they can cross the alveolar membrane, the ultra-thin barrier separating air from blood, and enter the bloodstream. Think of it as a Trojan horse. What you inhaled as air is now inside your circulatory system, piggybacking on red blood cells and plasma proteins, going wherever the blood flows. That includes the heart, the liver, the kidneys, and yes, the brain. But there's an even more direct route, one that bypasses the lungs altogether: the olfactory nerve. Some ultrafine particles can be inhaled through the nose and directly absorbed through the olfactory epithelium, essentially hijacking the nerve responsible for smell. That nerve leads straight to the olfactory bulb, which is inside your brain. No need to detour through the bloodstream. It's like a VIP entrance for toxins, one that allows pollutants to invade the central nervous system in minutes. Once these toxins reach the brain, the effects are far from benign. Airborne particles often carry reactive chemicals, including metals like lead, manganese, and iron, which can disrupt normal cellular signaling. They can generate oxidative stress, damage the DNA of neurons, and trigger chronic activation of the brain's immune cells, microglia. While microglia are designed to protect the brain, persistent exposure to pollutants keeps them activated indefinitely. That leads to inflammation, which in the brain is especially dangerous. It's linked to the buildup of amyloid plaques and tau tangles, the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. But the danger doesn't just lie in long-term degeneration. Even short-term exposure to high pollution levels can impair the blood-brain barrier, a normally tight border that prevents harmful substances in the blood from reaching sensitive neural tissue. When this barrier becomes leaky, more pollutants, pathogens, and inflammatory molecules can sneak into the brain, causing everything from headaches and brain fog to long-term cognitive dysfunction. This toxic infiltration doesn't only affect the elderly. Prenatal exposure to pollution, yes, what pregnant women breathe, has been linked to altered brain development in fetuses. In children, it's associated with lower IQ, attention deficits, and behavioral problems. In adults, it correlates with anxiety, depression, poor decision-making, and accelerated cognitive aging. In seniors, it contributes directly to dementia. And it all starts with a single breath of dirty air. So while we tend to think of pollution as a lung problem, a coughing hazard, a respiratory burden, the truth is much more disturbing. The lungs are merely the entry point. The real damage happens downstream, in the brain, where particles that should never be there quietly accumulate, provoke inflammation, disrupt memory circuits, and carve away at our cognitive resilience year after year. The scariest part? This entire process happens invisibly. You won't feel the PM 2.5 in your lungs. You won't notice the oxidative stress brewing in your hippocampus. You won't wake up one morning with a toxic cloud hovering above your frontal lobe. The damage is slow, incremental, and irreversible. But it is happening. Every time you inhale near a highway, behind a diesel truck, beside a construction site, or in a factory without adequate ventilation. We are used to thinking of brain health in terms of what we eat, how much we sleep, or whether we do enough Sudoku. But in reality, one of the most powerful determinants of long-term cognitive function may be completely unnoticeable: the air you breathe every second of your life. Because the shortest route to brain damage might not be through trauma or aging, it might be through your lungs.